Welcome everyone to the CFS Sunday seminar. It's actually the first seminar of the year, and I'm very happy to be here today together with Lorenzo Albrighi and Eliana Kuo, the co-founders of LablaCo, to be talking about the Spin Metaverse Decoded. We'll be deep diving into the Spin Metaverse and also the Metaverse opportunities within fashion. And before we start, just a quick intro also of who we are and who is joining me here on stage. So since 2016, you've been building LablaCo, that is now the leading Web3 circular fashion ecosystem, including the largest metaverse gathering in fashion, which was the Circular Fashion Summit, which was hosted here on the Spin Metaverse back in December. And you recently released the meta retail platform, Spin. So together you guys have a combined over 20 years of experience in luxury fashion, having worked respectively as a tailor, bespoke tailor, and a designer and buyer and merchandising manager at brands such as Giorgio Armani and Etro with you, Eliana. So maybe before we jump into the Spin Metaverse, you can tell me more about the vision of Spin and how you came to life, and also introduce more about yourselves.
Thank you, Paula, for the great introduction, and thank you everyone for being here. So maybe Eliana, we can start with you if you like.
So I'll start. So hello everyone, I'm Eliana Kuo, and co-founder and co-CEO of LablaCo and Circular Fashion Summit. So I would say my personal journey to enter the fashion industry basically started from 2012, and actually I thought I was super lucky to enter in fashion in that period, because basically 2012, it was the time when the social media, and we call it today fast fashion, actually disrupted the luxury fashion industry. So back in the time, basically I was working in fashion houses like Giorgio Armani and Etro as per buying merchandising manager, managing basically the Asia Pacific direct stores and everything. And on the other side, actually, I was also helping designer brands, like small independent brands, to go to the market, because basically through the social media and the fast fashion, it basically changed the consumer behavior that usually the luxury brands and the independent designer used to get used to, basically.
Realized that we couldn't grow this new system by doing Facebook ads and advertising, as a startup. We needed to create deep connections, deep relationships, and build the trust with the industry. And so that's the same year when we started the Circular Fashion Summit, where also our friend Jana Ruda, who's here still today, always together. He was there from the day one, as well as Anika from Balenciaga and many others that are now on this journey together. And what we're doing is we're basically setting goals every year with the Circular Fashion Summit, so we can give a purpose to why we need to use these new tools of the Web3 economy for fashion. And we're going to deep dive a little bit more, hopefully, in this conversation.
Yeah, definitely. That's so interesting because, maybe the metaverse layer wouldn't be as straightforward for people to understand when you're talking about, combining the metaverse and sustainability or even circularity, right? But how are you taking into consideration the mission of bringing circularity to the industry in line with the metaverse. So, and also maybe you can talk about the impact that you think the connected garments will have in this industry.
Yeah, I think this is a super great question, actually. I think before answering this, I would get basically a step back to think about what fashion is, so what clothing is. So for us, I think for me and also for Lorenzo, we both think that fashion is a symbol of time. It basically represents the human history and the culture. So in the past, actually, the clothing or garments were created for a purpose. So either it was for like work or for like to represent your social economic status. So basically, it was for a reason. But if you see today, thanks to the industrial like revolution and the thrive of capitalism, all these things that basically encourage the constant mass production. So our relationship with the clothing is completely changed. We see like fashion today is more like a commodity instead of for a purpose. So we continue to produce a lot, but in the end, probably we don't need that much clothes. So if you see fashion industry today is super like polluting and wasteful, with approximately 100 billion products produced each year, with less than 1% are recycled. So that's why we think without product digitization, there's no circular fashion, actually, because it's simply a theory of science. Actually, if you see other industry like air pollution, for example, if the scientists basically did not create all this index to let us know, so this is the area of red, this is the area of clean air, and then over this certain degree, we need to improve the air quality, etc. So if we start to measure the quality and the process, we can really start to improve. But without knowing the data, we can actually have nothing to do to improve fashion. So fashion today is totally a blind hole, basically. We don't know anything because we don't have any data. So that is also a reason why back in 2020, we launched the Circular Fashion Report together with business.pwc and this is other very amazing partners. So the circular fashion that as BlaBlaCo we approach is a little bit different from other players. So we think circular fashion is not only about the closing the loop and the product itself. It needs to be designed in the way that it's recyclable, upcyclable, etc., and also with the organic materials. But on the other side, it must be digital, meaning we need to produce data. So if not, we basically cannot track everything. We don't know what happened during the supply chain process, during the consumption process, or even after the purchase. So basically, through Spin platform, the Spin metaverse, the digitization of products that we're doing, there are two levels of productization that we're doing through Spin. So the first part is the physical product digitization. So we use NFT label. Later on, I think Lorenzo will explain more. But basically is we use the NFT label, IoT label, let's say, to digitize the physical product, to make them connect to the internet and the blockchain technology. So through QR code, NFC, RFID, etc. So all this process, like when the products are produced in the supply chain level, and then we can start to track where it's come from and what's the impact of it, and what materials was made, and etc. So all this data will be traced until the post-purchase label. And on the other side, we have digital level of digitization, meaning like digital twin. So you can create digital twin of the physical products during the the design process. So in the end of the design or sell process, we will have both physically and physical and digital products that can be used by customer. So this is how we encourage the industry and consumer to get into. It's basically to shift from the KPI from units sold, so the pure consumption model that where we only consume products and we don't know what happened afterwards, to the basically the ownership model. So we can calculate the product units access. So through the physical and digital level of NFT and IoT process, basically we can mix and match the physical and digital level. So consumer in the future, brand, they don't need to produce that much for party marketing today or sample. We can basically replace all those waste into digital through the Spin Metaverse, because on one side we have the web version that can basically encourage the user to do AR try-on, etc. But in the Metaverse side, customer can really use those digital garments on the avatar and take selfie and create a content and use with the proper use cases. So yeah, basically that's how we do it.
Thank you, Yun. I think you touched on a very important point, which is how you are working with data, but not data in a traditional way of how fashion brands feel today, maybe of like customer data, right? Because everybody know about, or all the brands may want to know everything about their customer, but very few brands know about the value of their products. And this is exactly what you're doing through Spin Connect. So maybe, Laura, you can walk us through a bit more Spin Connect, like basically what is it and who is it for?
Definitely, thank you, Paula. So yeah, Spin basically has two sides of the same coin, if you like. So on one side, a little bit like Uber, there's one app for the driver, and then there's one app for the rider. And how they work, so on one side, the transaction platform, let's say, where we are now, this is the Spin Metaverse, and it also has the web version as well. So on the web, we really enable the consumer to also scan the physical products in the stores, which they all have these NFT labels. And for example, we just launched in December with H&M. We helped them to build the entire rental system using Spin. And just recently, we launched the first NFT digital circular collection with Wayne Santo recycling and upcycling LVMH dead stock. So those products as well, when you scan them and you buy them, you also receive the ownership. So starting with the consumer experience, because that's really what we focus on, we help the customer to shift from consumption to ownership in the same way that we don't consume a house or a car. We own a house and we own a car. We really help the consumer also to shift from consuming fashion to owning their fashion. And through the NFT system, it basically enables them to also not just shop fashion, but to invest in fashion. So they receive the ownership, but then they can also trade them in the future for recycling, upcycling, and so on. And also for the resale market. And then for the resale market, like an NFT, because digital NFTs are what we're mostly used to, but these digital NFTs work in the same way. So if I resell my Gucci t-shirt to Gino, Gucci will take 10% royalty fees forever. And if Gino resells it to Daniel, Gucci will take another 10%. So when we say to brands, you got to produce less, it's a great idea, but you can't just tell brands to make less money. So you have to replace that, let's say, loss with other opportunities. And we really believe that creating these digital NFTs will enable brands to produce less and actually earn more money. So I think that's an important aspect, because often when we talk about sustainability, we think that it's an expense, but actually in the circular fashion report, we've seen that the digitized circular economy, which by the way is different from the, let's say, non-digitized circular economy, because there's a lot of companies and organizations that see circularity through their own lens. We see it through the digitized lens. It's definitely an exciting future ahead. And we already have the most exciting retailers in the world lined up to build meta retail experiences, because at the end of the day, Spin is a meta retail experience. It's not a video game. It's not a social network. It's a metaverse that is designed to create an overlayer of value on top of the physical world. So it's not an escapism system. It's something that we really want to make sure that is bringing value to businesses to expand their value beyond the physicality, let's say. And so, yeah, I can share a little bit. In the pipeline, we're now working with K11. They're one of the most exciting retail groups in Asia, one of the most innovative groups, because they are extremely focused on very similar things that we deeply care about. So sustainability, but also fashion, art, culture. K11 is all about that. And they're creating these breathtaking buildings that are including NFT showcases, art galleries, food, fashion, and so much more. And so with them, what we're doing now is to build the first ever meta retail experience by digitizing an entire store in Hong Kong. And yeah, there's going to be just a lot of exciting news that we're going to be announcing soon on that side. And then for other parts, we have an exciting 12 months ahead of us with Caring, with the Material Innovation Lab, where we will basically be creating next generation IoT circular products together to reach the goals of the summit.